Today I'm gonna grade voice acting performance of every GTA protagonist, well not every cause, some don't even talk like Claude the Mute Boy. Anyways, let's start. Tommy Vercetti. Ray Liotta's performance as Tommy Vercetti in Grand Theft Auto. Vice City is straight up iconic, and I'm giving it a solid A grade. Let me break down why this performance deserves such high praise. First off, Liotta brought this perfect blend of intensity and charisma to Tommy that made him instantly memorable. The way he delivered those angry outbursts when things went wrong felt so authentic. You could feel Tommy's frustration and rage bubbling beneath the surface. But he also nailed those cooler, more calculated moments that showed Tommy as this smart criminal mastermind climbing his way to the top. What really elevated Liotta's performance was how he captured Tommy's journey from this fish-out-of-water ex-con to kingpin of Vice City. The subtle shifts in confidence throughout the game's storyline showed Liotta's serious acting chops. He didn't just read lines, he embodied this character's transformation, making players feel like they were evolving alongside Tommy. The 80s Miami vibe of Vice City needed someone who could deliver that gritty gangster energy while still fitting into this neon-soaked world, and Liotta absolutely delivered. His raspy voice became synonymous with Tommy, creating this perfect match between character and setting that made the whole experience feel cohesive. Even more impressive is how Liotta managed to make Tommy likable despite being a literal criminal. There's this weird charisma in his delivery that had players rooting for Tommy despite all the chaos he caused. That's not easy to pull off, but Liotta made it seem effortless. Some voice acting performances in games feel disconnected from the action, but Liotta's work as Tommy felt integrated with everything happening on screen. Whether he was threatening rivals or bantering with other characters, his delivery always matched the energy of the scene perfectly. The reason this gets an A instead of an A+ is that occasionally some lines felt a bit flat or rushed, but those moments were rare exceptions in an otherwise stellar performance. Overall, Ray Liotta's Tommy Versetti remains one of gaming's most iconic voice acting performances, setting a standard that many games still struggle to match today. Next, CJ Young Melee's performance as Carl C.J. Johnson in GTA San Andreas deserves a solid B grade. While he didn't quite reach the heights of Ray Liotta's iconic Tommy Vercetti, Melee still created a character that's become a permanent part of gaming culture. What Melee absolutely nailed was CJ's authentic hood persona. The way he delivered those lines with that perfect blend of South Central LA swagger and vulnerability made CJ feel like a real person from the streets. You could hear his background in every word, and that authenticity helped ground San Andreas in a way that made the game feel more immersive and believable. Melee also deserves major props for capturing CJ's emotional journey throughout the game. When CJ was angry at betrayal or mourning lost family members, you could feel those emotions coming through in the performance. Where the performance occasionally stumbled was in the consistency department. Some dialogue exchanges felt a bit flat or awkwardly delivered, especially in less dramatic scenes. There were moments where the timing seemed off, or lines were rushed through without the same care given to the more pivotal story moments. Another thing keeping this at a B, rather than higher, is that sometimes the delivery lacked subtlety. In key emotional scenes, the performance occasionally veered into being a bit too on the nose, rather than letting the nuance of the situation breathe through the delivery. That said, Melee brought an undeniable charisma to CJ that made players connect with him through dozens of hours of gameplay. The casual banter, the friendship dynamics, the growth from reluctant hero to neighborhood savior, all of these arcs felt coherent because of how Melee approached the character. Niko. Michael Hollick's performance as Niko Bellic is seriously fire, and yeah, it's getting an A from me. Let's talk about why this immigrant-turned-criminal vibe was straight up perfect. First off, that accent? Spot on. Hollick nailed the Eastern European thing without making it feel like some cheesy cartoon character. The way he spoke just felt real. Like you were actually hanging with some dude who came over from Serbia looking for a better life. The whole tired, seen too much energy Hollick brought to Niko was just chef's kiss. You could literally hear the trauma in his voice when he talked about his past. Like this man has seen some stuff, and Hollick made you feel that heaviness without being all dramatic about it. What's super impressive is how Hollick could switch between being this cold-blooded killer 1 minute and then showing actual human emotions the next. The way his voice would soften when talking to Roman or Kate. That contrast was everything. Niko's whole, "I'm done with this life, but keep getting pulled back in" thing could have been super cringy, but Hollick made it feel genuine. The way he delivered those lines about wanting peace while also threatening people was low-key brilliant. The humor bits were underrated too. Hollick knew exactly when to drop that dry, sarcastic tone that made Niko's few jokes hit way harder. That balance of serious and funny kept the character from feeling one-dimensional. Even when the script got kind of repetitive, like how many times did Niko have to say he wasn't interested in American BS, Hollick always found ways to make it sound fresh and believable. So yeah, this performance gets an A, because Hollick basically created this complex, layered character who felt like a real person just trying to survive in Liberty City. The accent, the emotion, the subtle shifts in tone. Hollick absolutely crushed it as Niko Bellic. Next, Luis. Mario de Leon's take on Luis Lopez in The Ballad of Gay Tony. It's sitting at a C grade, and I've got thoughts on why this performance doesn't quite hit the way it could have. The whole nightclub bouncer, right-hand man to Gay Tony vibe had so much potential, but de Leon's delivery often felt like he was just reading lines rather than living them. There were moments where Luis should have been bringing that Dominican heat, but instead the energy was just kinda there. The biggest issue was consistency. Sometimes de Leon would nail Luis's street-smart attitude, especially in those tense moments with Tony, or when dealing with the club's high-maintenance celebrities. But then in other scenes, the performance would fall flat, with this weird disconnect between what was happening and how Luis sounded. De Leon's accent work was decent, but it sometimes felt forced or exaggerated, which took away from the authenticity of the character. Like, we get that Luis is Dominican, but the way de Leon handled it sometimes made it feel like a caricature rather than a real person from that background. The emotional range was pretty limited too. Whether Luis was just chilling with his boys or literally about to die, the voice performance stayed in this safe middle zone that didn't really let us feel the stakes. Where was the fear when things got wild? Where was the genuine joy in the good moments? What saves this from being a lower grade is that de Leon did occasionally capture Luis's cool factor. Those moments when he had to be smooth with the ladies or intimidating with rivals showed glimpses of what could have been a much stronger performance overall. There were also some good chemistry moments between Luis and Tony, where de Leon managed to show that complicated loyalty and friendship in subtle ways through his voice. Those moments showed potential that just wasn't consistently delivered throughout the game. Johnny. Scott Hill's performance as Johnny Kibbits lands a solid B grade, and I'm gonna break down why this biker gang leader deserves that middle-of-the-road respect. The gruff, weathered quality Hill brought to Johnny's voice was pretty much perfect for this character. Like, you could literally hear the years of hard living, bar fights, and highway miles in every word. When Johnny talked, you believed this was a dude who'd been riding with an outlaw motorcycle club for years. Hill totally nailed the whole conflicted leader vibe. The way his voice would shift between being this commanding presence when he needed to keep the lost in line, and then showing that hidden vulnerability when dealing with his ex-girlfriend Billy's chaos. That range was actually impressive. Where the performance kinda stumbled was in the emotional high points. During some of the most intense moments, like when Johnny's dealing with club betrayals, Hill's delivery sometimes felt a bit too controlled when we needed to feel more raw anger or pain coming through. The chemistry between Johnny and the other Lost members was believable thanks to Hill's performance. You could hear the years of brotherhood in those conversations, especially with Terry and Clay. That lived-in quality made the gang dynamics feel real. What keeps this at a B, rather than higher, is that sometimes Johnny's personality didn't fully pop through the voice work. There were scenes where Hill played it safer than he needed to, making Johnny occasionally blend in with other generic tough guy characters instead of standing out as someone truly unique. Hill did manage to capture Johnny's no-nonsense, straightforward approach to life. Michael. Ned Luke as Michael deSanta? Total A-grade material, no cap. Let me break down why this performance was straight fire. The way Luke nailed Michael's whole vibe was just amazing. Like, this man really captured that energy of a dude going through it. Rich but miserable, stuck in therapy, hating his life choices, but also low-key missing his criminal days. His voice work was so good because you could literally hear when Michael was about to snap. One second he's trying to be this chill dad watching old movies, and the next he's losing it on his family or some random person who cut him off in traffic. The switch-up felt mad real, The therapy scenes? Elite stuff. Luke somehow made you feel Michael's BS excuses and his deep-down self-awareness at the same time. Like, we all knew he was lying to himself, and Luke's delivery made that so obvious without being cringe about it. The way Michael talked to his son Jimmy was so relatable. That mix of, "I love you but you drive me crazy," came through perfect in Luke's performance. Anyone with family drama could totally feel those scenes. What's crazy impressive is how many different Michael moods Luke could serve. Quiet and threatening? Check. Screaming his lungs out? Check. Being sarcastic about everything? Double check. No matter the vibe, Luke ate it up every time. You could also hear Michael's character growth just in Luke's voice. Early game. Michael sounds different from late game Michael, and that subtle shift shows Luke wasn't just reading lines, he was living this character's journey. Basically, Ned Luke didn't just voice Michael, he became him FR. The performance had all these layers that made GTA 5's story hit different. Whether Michael was planning heists with the crew, or just being depressed by his pool, Luke made you believe this character was a real person with real problems. Franklin. Sean Fantino's performance as Franklin Clinton deserves a solid B grade, and I'm gonna tell you why this ambitious hustler from the hood had moments of brilliance but also some room to level up. Fantino absolutely nailed Franklin's whole "I'm trying to escape the hood" vibe. You could feel that hunger for something better in literally every conversation. The way he delivered those lines about wanting more than just gang life felt mad authentic. Like Fantino really understood that struggle. Fantino captured that perfect balance of street smarts and actual intelligence. Franklin was always the most level-headed dude in the room, and Fantino's chill, measured delivery made that clear without making him boring. Those moments when Franklin was getting frustrated with Lamar's constant mess? Pure gold. Fantino made you feel like Franklin was so done with his boy's drama while still caring about him deep down. That friendship dynamic came through perfect in his voice. The way Franklin talked to Michael with this mix of respect and independence showed Fantino's skill at showing relationship dynamics just through his tone. You could hear Franklin looking up to Michael while also not trying to be a total yes man. What keeps this at a B instead of higher is that sometimes Franklin's reactions could feel a bit flat. In some of the wildest GTA moments, his delivery stayed too chill when we needed more emotion to match the chaos happening on screen. Also, compared to Michael and Trevor's super distinct personalities, Fantino's Franklin sometimes felt like he was playing it safer. He didn't always get the chance to show as much range as the other protagonists, which isn't entirely on him, but still affected the overall impact. That said, Fantino brought this genuine quality to Franklin that made him feel real. The quiet ambition, the occasional self-doubt, the dry humor, all these elements came through in subtle ways that made Franklin someone players could connect with. Finally, Trevor. Stephen Ogg as Trevor Phillips is straight-up A+ material, no debate needed. This performance isn't just good, it's literally the GOAT of video game voice acting, and I'm about to break down why. The way Ogg embodied Trevor's chaotic energy was next-level insane. Like, the man didn't just voice Trevor, he became this unpredictable psychopath so completely that it's actually kinda terrifying. The constant shifts between calm and explosive rage happened so naturally that you forgot someone was acting. Ogg's delivery of Trevor's random outbursts? Absolutely unhinged in the best possible way. The way he could go from quietly threatening someone to full-on screaming about conspiracy theories had this raw intensity that made players genuinely uncomfortable. In a good way. What puts this performance in its own league is how Ogg somehow made this absolute monster weirdly likable. Like, Trevor does the most horrible things, but Ogg found these tiny moments of twisted humanity that made you low-key root for him anyway. That's straight-up magic. The physical performance behind the voice was elite too. You could literally hear Ogg throwing his whole body into Trevor's lines. All those grunts, screams, laughs, and whispers felt like they came from someone living the character, not just reading script pages. Trevor's contradictions were what made him interesting, and Ogg nailed every single one. The hints of intelligence behind the madness, the twisted loyalty alongside the betrayals, the moments of weird tenderness mixed with extreme violence. Ogg balanced all this perfectly. Some of Trevor's most iconic scenes, like his intro or the Scooter Brothers' random encounter, work entirely because of how fully Ogg committed to the bit. No holding back, no self-consciousness, just pure, unfiltered Trevor energy that made these moments instant classics. The range is what really seals the A+. Og gave us everything from terrifying whispers to manic laughter to surprisingly emotional moments of vulnerability. Trevor had more vocal range than any other character, and Og delivered on every single note. Bottom line, Stephen Ogg created something legendary with Trevor. And we are done. Let me know in the comments which voice acting performance was your absolute favorite. I'll make sure to read every comment. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.